All right. Hello, O365A followers. Welcome to the late summer edition of O365A. Today, we're going to be talking about Microsoft Copilot Cowork. So Cowork is Microsoft's AI-powered agentic system inside Microsoft 365. So instead of just chatting with Copilot, this takes a higher level goal and can multi-step your tasks to achieve it. And it's right across the Microsoft 365 portfolio. So, Abhi, why don't you tell us a little more about your experiences and what you think of Cowork?
Yeah, I think maybe before we get into some of the use cases, some of the things that you can do within Cowork, obviously, have it on your behalf, send emails and replies. You can have it schedule meetings, looking at your calendar and other people calendars as well, and then sort of just kind of like offload that. Kind of like previously, in the old days where you had Cortana be able to, make those scheduled meetings for you. Obviously, you can, post and send messages in Teams, managing files, and then, doing some research. And then that's just kind of like a prompt that you can put in it, and you can just go and do something else while it's, working on the prompt that you put in. But then there's like the scheduling portion of it where you can have it do things on a recurring basis, performing different functions and stuff like that. So I think, we'll get into some of the use cases that, some of us were using Cowork during its preview prior to July 1st, which now it's become, public domain. We'll talk a little bit about those, but Dino is going to walk through us, I think the importance of, going through some governance around Cowork, how to apply limits to it, because it is now a pay-as-you-go subscription. So I think it's obviously very important to organizations to put some sort of guardrails around costing and pricing and whatnot. So with that, Dino, let's see what we can do to secure it a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good intro. Many of us were lucky enough to have it available to us till July 1st. And certainly I was playing with it and trying to use as much as possible, knowing that the day would come when we have to start paying for it. So, as you mentioned, first and foremost, it isn't free out of the box. And I'll just quickly share my screen here. You can see that I'm in Cowork right now. And previous to enabling this, you would click here and it says, yeah, you're not set up, even though I have an M365 Copilot license. And I think that's another distinction that we need to make is Cowork's only available. You need both a Copilot license and then you need credits available to pay for the tasks that you give Cowork. So even though, the July 1st date came and I came back in here and first and foremost, you click on Cowork and nothing's really happening. It says, yeah, you don't have any credits. Your organization hasn't enabled this for you. So, okay, so what the heck do I have to do to get that to work? So in the M365 Admin Center, you would come in and there's a whole Copilot rail in the left rail that you can access. And there's a lot of things. And I think we're going to try and focus on a few more of these in the near future. So cost management is your friend here, and where we're going to need to come in and set this up, and specifically configuration. And you can see I've created a spending policy here, but I already have one. But without a spending policy in existence, Cowork's not going to work. So you'll have to build a spending policy, and I'll just quickly walk you through what that looks like. You would give it a name. Has to be a certain number of characters. Doesn't matter what it is. There are some character limitations in that. And today you can apply it to all users, specific groups, and coming soon, we'll be able to apply it just to specific users. Like today, you can't just call out a couple of users. And this is a big feature request right now. Yeah, go ahead, Hub.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think that's really important to point out that you don't have to give it to everybody within the organization. You can set up a specific group, right? So that you can at least pilot it. If it's not even a pilot, let's just say, maybe this tool is you're not going to deploy it org-wide. It's just going to be to, you know, a certain subset of people in the organization. It's nice to be able to have that flexibility, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I think this specific user one will be important because you'll probably just want to pick a few users rather than have to build a security group and go and look for it in this list. Yeah, go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, just a quick question. Speaking of user access, I know if you go into the M365 standalone Copilot app as a user and you go to use Cowork in the tab, if you don't have access, there's a request access button. I can't remember when an end user presses request access. Where does that request go exactly? Do any of you know?
You should see it on the main M365 dashboard. I think I've seen it there, and there's a call up. There's a little pop out. You can click on it, and then you'll see, hey, these people have requested access. I don't have any of those. I think I'd show you, but I think on the home page of the dashboard, I don't know if anybody else has had that experience, but
okay.
So certainly any administrator would see that. It doesn't create an email or anything like that, but it does show up on the dashboard saying these users had requested credits. In fact, when I went through this the first time, I clicked on it just to see if where it would go, and I believe I did see it on the dashboard. It's more of just of a notification. It's not like you can action it right from there. Just takes you to the configuration management and cost management. So let's just assume that we're going to leave it on all users. I'm not going to actually create this. You'll have an opportunity to set limits and alerts here. Don't limit the monthly spending, limit it, and I can set the amount of credits I want to do this at, which reset on a monthly basis. So that's kind of nice. You know, if I want to say I want to put budget limits on per user, like say I don't want any one user spending more than 10,000 credits a month. They have that, and then you can turn alerts on as well. So I can add a threshold. You know, when I get to my 20,000 credits or 200,000 credits, for example, send an alert. And then you can define some people here and add recipients, and they'll get an email when you get close to that. So that's a really nice first start I think Microsoft's done in terms of allowing for some alerting there. So in terms of agents and services, so there's a couple things that show up. So obviously the Cowork service is checked off, and that's going to apply to Copilot Cowork. So this is obviously that needs to be turned on, or Cowork's not going to work. There's also a Work IQ API, and Work IQ is kind of the new term that Microsoft's using to talk about all the intelligence that Copilot has access to. So obviously, in terms of using Cowork directly as a user, the first checkbox is required for Cowork to work. The Work IQ is for APIs for agents that you would build that users would use. So if you're looking to build this out and have users access third-party agents, or even agents, first-party agents that you build in your tenant, then you would need to enable this because you need to fund the usage of those agents using Cowork as well. So you have that granularity built into here too. And then I think you're going to start to see other things appear here as stuff comes out. You can see it applies to Work IQ and Copilot now. They're working to build more agents and services. So I would expect to see a lot of change in this pane. And then last but not least, the most important thing, this all has to go against a subscription that you have in your Azure tenant that's funded by a credit card. So I have a default billing profile that's built out. It goes to my credit card. You can kind of see that set up here. If you wanted to change it for some reason, you could say use pay as you go, and then it's going to load a bunch of subscriptions in my tenant. I could choose from one of those if I had a different set of subscriptions. This can take anywhere from 30 seconds to a couple minutes to load. But the point is that you can choose different subscriptions in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to actually build this policy, but I'll just cancel it and show you the one that we have built out here. So obviously I've got, I'm applying it to all the users. There's two 2 full-time users in my tenant. It's set up against a pay-as-you-go subscription that I have, and I'm using, I'm limiting it to 10,000 credits per month just to make sure that we each have equal access. We haven't hit that yet, and I have some alerting turned on. So once it's active, you'll see it there. And then more importantly, this Cowork button will work, and I can add new tasks, and I can come in here and start adding tasks, give it a task. And again, I would say, we can dive into a lot of use cases here, but I would say that, and of course it's saying checking my access now because the demo gods don't want to cooperate. I can assure you that this was working, but effectively, we can get into the use cases, but essentially you don't want to treat Cowork like you would Copilot. Like, you want to give it more complex tasks. And some of the things that we've been doing just quickly are, maybe analyzing complicated RFPs, documents that have, maybe several hundred pages, lots of data, lots of tasks that would be broken out into subtasks. So that's the sort of thing you would do. And then when these tasks are completed, you can do a /cost to get an idea of what some of this stuff costs. And if I come into the consumption task, you can see the monthly limits I've set up. I've used 2,261 credits. You can see that I do have a Copilot license, and my last activity date was 2 days ago that I used this. Agents and services, this is the entire, you can see that only Cowork's accessing this subscription. I've got 2 active users again. Again, that's 5793 credits, the total of that. So the overview page does show a few graphs and things that you can look at. So I suspect that this will change as time goes by as well. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I'll pause there, see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, super quick one, Dino. I'm sure everybody's struggling with, well, how many credits do I need for certain types of activities or scenarios? I think us 4 have some ideas in terms of like just the amount of work that Cowork is doing in terms of consumption credits. But any advice there in terms of how organizations can like sort of measure how many credits they need for an average user?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we've been spending a bit of time looking at that. And I can say, for example, I used it to update a cover letter for my son the other day, and it cost me like $4, and then I used it to look at an actual RFP that Kevin and I were analyzing, and this was like multiple documents, 9 different documents. Would have taken us a day to each review everything. And I said, we gave it similar prompts, and we both found that it cost about $6 for it to go through like 9 different documents and produce a risk profile and kind of an initial bid or no bid type scenario. So I thought that was extremely valuable, something that probably would have taken me 8 hours. It ended up doing it in 11 minutes and costing $6. So I haven't, it's early days, but yeah, it's not like it's costing hundreds of dollars at this point. So my suggestion would be to start small, put limits on it, add it to a credit card, and then just keep your credits low, and then just keep track of it in terms of testing it out. But and then the business, as a business, you got to decide what the value is for you.
I mean, it's often brought up when we were talking about like Cowork versus Copilot. Like, it'd be great if you could if a user prompt the wrong spot, like if they prompt in Cowork and it's like, hey, I should just pass this over to Copilot because it's something that can be done with Copilot without having to have this whole kind of orchestration and triage. I think that's where we need to get to really unblock a lot of enterprises of like, how do we tell people to like what goes where, and if they do something wrong, how do we kind of protect it? When I was playing with it, I was like, how many tokens can I burn before it starts being consumption? When we were doing the kind of frontier stuff, and like I went and said, go through every meeting I've had in the last 6 years, pull the organizer and every attendee, and then pull all the unique domains, and then find details about those domains, like company profile and details of that. And like the thing just churned for a while, and like kept trying to say like, are you sure? Do you want to do a sample size of like 25? Like there were some gates in there trying to stop someone from going off the rails. But yeah, I think I spent like 30,000 tokens on the single request. Like you could definitely push it down a path that you probably shouldn't. But like you said, there's some high value things. Just even, at the end of the week, just summarize my calendar, my inbox for time entries and stuff like that. And you just get enough information in one place in the format you need. Those are the kind of orchestration automations that are definitely drive the biggest value of spending hours doing it manually.
Now, Michael, like organizing your meetings and everything, the difference between Copilot and Cowork, like you could get your current meetings, see them with just regular Copilot. What are you doing specifically with Cowork that requires like agent-based
the automation and giving an additional context of like connecting to other systems and stuff like that, or producing documents or spreadsheets and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff you had to go to Cowork to do, but now it seems like a lot of the stuff that just ties to your Microsoft services, like my Outlook, my calendar, that stuff is starting to be able to be handled and triaged and kind of orchestrate right out of Copilot. Before you had to always go to Cowork to do that. And so there is some effort, on the Microsoft side of bringing Cowork type features to Copilot where it stays within the realm of the user, work IQ stuff for the user. Yeah.
Definitely seems like there needs to be some user education on what's more suitable for what scenario to be cost effective, right?
Yeah, and then there's other tools like Scout that's on the GitHub side, and like that has its own billing and tokening. Like you can't manage it through the M365 admin center, but again, it's like taking Cowork to another level, and there's a lot of tools out there, and finding the right tool that is cost effective and using your tokens wisely.
Well, one of my best scenarios, we actually demoed this on the podcast, I think back in May, was when Cowork was part of the Frontier program. We used the agent workflow in Microsoft Excel to do a lot of data transformation across a whole Microsoft Excel worksheet, and that was really useful. Everything from like cleaning up dates to standardizing the names of cities and the capitalization and filling in null values. That stuff's really high value. I mean, that can take hours to clean up a spreadsheet like that. So that was a good scenario, which was high value. No idea what it would cost now in Cowork credits, but
yeah, you can use the /cost after you do your prompt, and you can get it'll tell you how many tokens it used, and the kind of the rate on the tokens and stuff like that. But it is a post conversation. It'd be great if you could like, hey, Cowork, I'm gonna ask you to do this thing, estimate how much this is gonna cost me. Or like before you even run it, like you give it a prompt and it's going to say like, hey, based on what you're asking me to do, I'm going to do X number of tasks. Here's an estimated cost. Even if it takes a little bit of token usage just to figure out what it's going to do. It'd be good to get some kind of estimates before you've like walked away from your desk, you come back and it's been churning, the lights have been dimming for 2 hours. And
yeah, I like both of those ideas, Michael. I mean, sort of, hey, you're using the wrong tool potentially. That would be ideal. And shameless plug, Kevin and I, my partner Kevin Keeler, and anything you see, we're working on another podcast to talk about this exact thing about, hey, let's throw these tasks at the different, researcher, Cowork, Copilot, free Copilot. And just to see what the outcome is and what the best tool is. So look for that, and because this is exactly what people are asking. But I do like the idea of the sort of the pre-cost. A little bit on that /cost. If you run it right after the task is done, it definitely gives you how many credits it was. I've gone back to old prompts that were definitely in this new paid period, and it's like, sorry, I can't give you that cost right now. So I don't actually, because I hadn't run it and on a few of them. So just a word to anybody trying this, make sure you run it right after. And another thing
Well,
I'll say is the follow-up stuff can often use more credits than the initial pass. And this is common across a lot of these AI models right now, is that if you're ingesting documents and doing things, and you're going to back and say, go update something, it can often take as much or more because it has to go back and essentially reanalyze everything. And so I'm not sure if that, hopefully that's something that changes, but I think that's just the limitation of the models today. So first passes are great. So you're like, okay, it only cost me $5 or $10, and then, you know, follow up might cost you 20. So that's something else that we've noticed as well.
Do you know that that's a really interesting point, right? So when it does the follow up, you're probably including the context from the initial pass, which can burn more tokens and more consumption, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you've seen that even in Copilot and other AI models. Often, you know, you go up the follow up stuff, and sometimes you used to hit those memory cliffs where it's like, sorry, I can't continue this chat because there was like so much data back and forth that it kind of, you had to start a new chat. Maybe it's sort of related to that. But yeah, it is something that you'll have to watch out for credit. I haven't spent too much time doing that just because it's burning my own credits. But yeah, I think that's another topic where you're starting to see a bit of guidance come out around that, saying, look, don't try to do a lot of follow up on tasks because it can quickly burn up your credits.
I think that's one of the risks and the challenges with a consumption-based model like this too. Is I think Michael, you and I were talking about this the other day. Sometimes you go down a rabbit hole trying to accomplish something, burn a lot of credits, and it doesn't accomplish what you wanted. And that really, yeah, that sucks.
And just before we leave, I was remiss not to talk about buying prepaid credits, and I'm totally on a model where it's just billing my card month over month, and I've capped it. But you can buy prepaid credits, and there's 9 tiers of credits available, and I think you can start. It starts at 5% at the 300,000 credits, and it'll go up at tier 1, and all the way to tier 9, you get up to 20% off. So you can save a bit of money.
Do you want to just click that 9th one and go check out? Just want to see what happens.
I mean, the other thing I've experienced too, and I mean, I may as well show the audience this, is this never works for me. It doesn't calculate the price. So I don't know why. I've tried different subscriptions in here, but oh, okay, now it's giving me some work. But yeah, the standard, the Learn Docs will say at 3, you know, you'll start at 5%. It slowly inches up to 20% at the 300 million credits. So obviously, if you're in an organization that's playing in this space, it may be advantageous to you if you know you're going to use credits to prepay them because of some of the discounts. So I would not suggest this for anybody just looking into it. I would absolutely just go to, you know, ratchet it down, put it to a credit card, cap it at like, you know, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 credits a month or something that's palpable, and then go from there.
All right, well, we'll leave it at that. As we discussed in prepping for this episode, a lot of different co-work stuff we could talk about. So if any viewers out there have any areas of co-work that they're interested in having us dive into, let us know. But we'll leave it at that for now. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.